This is Zampo. Welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Sunam Pem. Our top stories this week. His Majesty the King grants Dasai Tika to representatives from Hindu community. ACC and NLCS ask Bhutan District Administration to evict lessees in Chamkhar town who violated lease agreement. And flash flood in Hunsi kills 5 and damages crops and livestock and water sources of Jasabi residents. His Majesty the King has granted Dasai Tika to representatives from the Hindu community at the Linkana Palace. The Prime Minister, Home Minister and senior officials from the government joined representatives from a cross-section of society to receive Tika and blessings from His Majesty the King on Wednesday.
A 3-day Durga Puja was held at the Linkana Palace, and Tika blessed from Linkana has been sent to all districts to be distributed to the people. Pandit Narayan Sikdal, who is leading the puja ceremony, said the Tika this year held even greater significance as the nation is emerging from the difficult years of the pandemic.
सर्वप्रथम चाहिँ महाराजाको कर कमलबाट लाग्दछु महाराजा साक्षात हाम्रो धर्मशास्त्रमा बताइएको छ भगवान विष्णुको अवतार हुनुहुन्छ
The king is Vishnu personified, and to receive Tika from the king is the greatest blessing of all. Tika is put by the head of the family to bless the members, just as His Majesty blesses and protects us all.
Pandit Narayan added that everyone has witnessed these blessings in His Majesty's wise leadership and protection, which has safeguarded the people of Bhutan during the pandemic. The Dasai Tika is traditionally placed upon the forehead of family members by the head of the family, symbolizing the bond that brings the family together. The Dasai is observed by Hindus as an important festival that helps renew and strengthen familial and community bonds. Hindus believe that the king is an embodiment of Vishnu who reincarnated as Rama to destroy evil. The Dasai is a celebration of Rama's victory over Ravana. BBS News.
His Majesty the King has granted an audience to the participants of the 4th International Conference on Vajrayana Buddhism at Zhong. The conference, with participants and speakers from close to 40 countries, was organized by the Center for Bhutan and GNH Studies, CBS, and the Central Monastic Body. The conference was inaugurated by the Prime Minister that concluded on Tuesday. The Gross National Happiness Commission is officially dissolved. The move is part of the Royal Civil Service Commission's reorganization of civil service agencies. The former Central Coordinating Agency had been tasked with the overall planning of the country's policies and programs by incorporating the 4 pillars of GNH: good governance, sustainable socio-economic development, cultural preservation, and environmental conservation.
The GNHC's dissolution came into effect from today. The Prime Minister, at the inaugural event of Black Mountain Festival and Cycling Challenge in Trongsa yesterday, said that the GNHC, which has 6 divisions, is better to be dissolved. The Commission's Prospective Planning Division and Research and Evaluation Division are integrated with Office of the Cabinet Affairs under the Cabinet Secretariat. According to the officials from the Cabinet Secretariat, the office will carry out the role of developing long-term plans and policies of national interests. The other 4 divisions are now clubbed with the Ministry of Finance. The divisions are Development Cooperation Division, Local Development Division, Planning Monitoring Coordinating Division, and Government Performance Management Division. Henceforth, anything to do with research on GNH will be done by the Center for Bhutan and GNH Studies. For Pasang in Trongsa, this is Pemal Haden, BBS News.
With the improvement of the COVID situation globally and across the country, the Royal Institute for Governance and Strategic Studies Office and its Coronation Hostel at Rinchinding were handed back to the Institute by the Phintsling General Hospital. Since the first case of COVID-19 in March 2020, the RICS office and its 70-bedded hostels have actively served as a public hospital and isolation center for COVID-19 patients in Phintsling.
His Majesty the King, just 2 days before his 42nd birthday, commanded the Southern COVID-19 Task Force that the RICS Institute be converted into a public hospital for the residents of the town. This provided huge relief and a much safer environment for the health professionals and patients of the otherwise crowded Phintsling General Hospital.
Under His Majesty the King's command, we handed over the RICS office to Phintsling General Hospital when the Omicron variant was rapidly spreading in the country. The move was not only to help ease and minimize the increasing pressure on Phintsling Hospital, but also to help in breaking the chain of virus transmission. Now that is about 8 months, the hospital has handed over the infrastructure back to us. This is good news and a good sign that the COVID situation in the country is finally improving as compared to the past.
Besides the regular services, the institute also served as public hospital for mother and child health care. It provided consultation services, ultrasound, antenatal checkups, pregnancy-related blood screening tests, and child immunization services, among others, for women and children throughout the worsening COVID situation in Phintsling. Likewise, the 70-bedded hostel at Rinchinding was also converted into isolation center for COVID-19 patients in Phintsling and nearby districts.
From March 2020, even the RICS hostel at Kharbandi was given to the Health Ministry to be used as the isolation center for Phintsling, Samtsi and other nearby districts. The isolation center came in very handy as all individuals who tested positive for COVID were all managed and treated up there.
Moreover, the RICS office has also served as the COVID-19 control center for Phintsling, and the Southern COVID-19 Task Force has been operating from the institute as per the command of His Majesty the King. Since taking over the two RICS facilities, the Phintsling General Hospital has treated close to 1,000 cases of COVID-19 to date. Likewise, the public hospital at the main RICS office has provided mother and child healthcare services to over 14,000 people. For Pasang Dochi in Phintsling, Pupki, PBS News.
The Anti-Corruption Commission and the National Land Commission Secretariat have asked Bhutan District Administration to immediately evict lessees in Chamkhar town who have violated the Land Act 2007. A series of inspections since 2017 have found out that over 66% of the lessees have subleased their structures, among which 6 individuals had also sold their structures. Bhutan District Administration recently conducted a meeting with the leaseholders to inform about the latest developments.
There are 130 leaseholders in the town, of which 86 have subleased their shops and hotels, which is in violation of the lease agreement signed in 2013 and the Land Act. Earlier this year, Bhutan District Administration issued an 18-month notice to the leaseholders to make necessary arrangements to vacate the structures by September next year. However, few complainants have reported to ACC a few months ago requesting an investigation. They claimed that some individuals were given 3 to 4 plots while others were given only 1. They also reported on the subleasing practice that has been going on for a long time, and also on some shopkeepers having got evicted from the structures by leaseholders after the notification from the district administration. Bhutan's land record officer told the meeting that allegations on the disparity of number of plots awarded was found untrue. He said plots were registered on the names of different family members, though some families owned more than 1 plot. Following the investigation, the ACC directed NLCS to take immediate action on the defaulters. Meanwhile, the current town area is identified for constructing a municipal office, a children's park, a police station, among others, at the Zhong last year.
Almost half of Jamkhar town falls under the flood hazard zone due to the Jamkhar River, while another portion of it is nearby the Jakars stream, where constructions shouldn't be allowed as per regulations. So, a big chunk of the town's area is unsuitable for settlement.
The district administration once again asked the people to prepare to vacate the town with the lease term expiring in the next 11 months. However, around 100 leaseholders wrote to the administration for lease term extension in March.
The non-renewal notice the district administration issued is too late. We only get 1.5 years to build new houses and relocate our shops. Moreover, we also don't know how ready the 3 local area plans are.
I'm really worried now as all of my savings have been spent for my children's education. Moreover, I had to rebuild my house twice due to the fire incidents. The ones who were affected by the last fire in 2017 have not even recovered our construction expenses. We always hoped that we would get another term extension. By then, we would be also ready financially.
We agree that it's time that the tree labs have to start taking shape now. However, with the new town spread across the valley, we worry that the relocated shopkeepers from Jamkhar won't have enough customers after they become scattered over the 3 townships.
The Land Lease Committee didn't explain us the provisions of the Land Act and the terms and conditions of the lease agreement, such as restrictions on the subleasing when the agreement was executed. Back then, most people had signed the agreement fearing they won't be given plots if they didn't do so.
The district land record officer said all the terms and conditions were laid out clearly in the agreement. On the other hand, over 500 people owning private land in the 3 local area plans of Vekiling, Jamkhar and Jalika wrote to the administration on the need to firmly implement the non-renewable notice served earlier this year. The district administration has plans to lay base course in the Jamkhar lab within this year, which will be followed by Jalika lab next year. Almost all the structures in Jamkhar town are built on leased state land. Following several fire disasters in the town, the District Land Lease Committee leased out plots for 10 years to the town's residents. For Kipchu in Pumta, Pupkim, BBC News.
The present town of Gaza is just in name. With a handful of temporary houses constructed on state land, the town is a far cry from what a town is. In order to have a proper town, the district started the developmental work in 2020 as approved by the Ministry of Works and Human Settlement. However, extreme climatic conditions and manpower shortages delayed the work progress by several months. As it is, the district expects to get the groundwork complete only by the end of this year.
This is Kolika. Spanning over 74 acres of land, the new Gaza town will just be 500 meters from the Zhong. Most of the major works like internal roadways, storm drainage and retaining walls have been completed. But the road will be blacktopped only after completing the house constructions in the area to avoid road damage. Likewise, power supply works are also underway. Supposed to be complete by April this year, the progress of the town development work was hampered by the severe climatic conditions and shortage of skilled manpower and construction materials. The project started in 2020 is now extended by 6 more months.
Gaza receives incessant rainfall during the monsoon and very heavy snowfall during the winter. So we have a very narrow window for work, and that's about only 6 months of a period where you can work properly.
हाम्रो काम अहिले 85% सक्यो
We have completed 85% of work. However, we will be taking some time to complete the sewerage network since our construction materials have to come from Kolkata. It is taking time to transport here. Likewise, rainfalls are extremely hampering our work progress. It is difficult to retain the workers due to the weather condition here.
बस्दैन छ पानीले गर्दा
The Zhong administration met with the shopkeepers of the old Gaza town recently. The shopkeepers were updated about the construction progress and the regulation in the new township. There are about 30 land Kedu recipients who can shift to the new town.
The first phase of works is nearly complete. So, if the remaining works progress as planned, the landowners can begin their construction process by the end of this year.
The residents, meanwhile, are worried by the delayed developmental work. According to them, the temporary town with makeshift houses has no hygiene or safety. The officiating Thomdeng Wotsap says the shopkeepers would be able to get ready for their house construction only after getting approval from the Zhong administration. The issue was also discussed in the recent Zhong Tsokdu.
Firstly, it is quite challenging in maintaining health and hygiene as our houses are all makeshift structures and situated in cluster. Secondly, there is a high risk of fire hazard as all the houses are made up of woods.
The new town has 59 plots along with 5 parking areas and a children's park. Overlooking the majestic Gaza Tashithongmen Zhong and surrounded by snow-capped mountains in the winter, the town will be a feast for the eyes. For Changadoji in Gaza, Pema Saldun, BBS News.
A flash flood in Jasabi of Lindsay has killed 5 elderly people. The flash flood triggered by heavy rain also injured a couple and damaged properties, crops and livestock. The small village in Kurte Gewok was hit by the flood in the early hour of 30th September.
This is the trail of disaster left by the flash flood. The handful of residents is now living in fear that they might be the next victim. Today, there are only about 30 people living here. The flood that killed 5 and injured 2 also swept away 2 traditional houses and partially damaged 4 other houses in Jasabi. According to some residents, this is the second such incident that has hit the village. The first one happened some 3 decades ago, but there was no casualty like yesterday.
I went to get cattle and I was not at home during the time of the flood, but my wife and child were at home. They could not run away since the debris has blocked the main door. The flash flood damaged my altar room.
I could not run anywhere since the flood hit my home from different directions. I felt the vibration as if an earthquake hit my home. I stayed at home only, but when I got up in the morning, my neighbors were washed away by the flood. There are only a handful of people in the village and I was worried that all died in the mishap.
Our ancestral land has to be handed over to our future generations, and we are hopeful that one of my children has to take care of my ancestral land. When such incidents happen often, our child would be reluctant to stay back in the village. We can't stay here in our village now.
Meanwhile, the flash flood also damaged about 7 acres of paddy fields, other crops and vegetables, and stocked grains that belonged to 7 families. It also damaged the drinking water source, irrigation water pump and irrigation channel of the entire village. The flash flood also swept away 11 cattle of 4 families. The Gewok agriculture official will assess the crop damages from tomorrow. The Zhong disaster team will soon provide relief kits to the affected household. Teary-eyed and worried, the residents say they are willing to relocate to some safer places if given a chance. For Sonam Sring and Lindsay, Gilitam, BBS News.
The country has lost a legendary singer and musician. Abdope passed away recently at his residence in Thimphu. He was 89. Considered as the master and treasurer of traditional songs, Abdope from Talo in Punakha was a recipient of Druk Thukse from His Majesty the 4th Druk Gyalpo.
He was a monk, a painter, a historian, a singer, and an instrumentalist. Started his life as a monk in Punakha, late Abdope later changed the robe to dedicate his life to what he loves the most, music. However, he did not discard his belief. He was a devout Buddhist until he breathed his last. He is credited with promoting the country's indigenous songs and music. His passion and dedication was recognized in 1999. During the Silver Jubilee celebrations of His Majesty the 4th Druk Gyalpo's reign, he was awarded the Druk Thukse for preserving and promoting the traditional songs and music in the country. Jigme Drukpa, a renowned singer and a musician himself, is among the many students of Abdope. According to him, the death of such an icon is a great loss to the nation.
Spanning over 5 decades, Abdope's name was a household name in a sense that his music and his songs, especially through the performance of Zhong music, which is actually being practiced only in the Kingdom of Bhutan. He had been the household name representing and practicing the core values of Bhutanese songs and traditions.
The late music icon was the voice that entertained thousands of Bhutanese in the olden days through BBS radio. And it was through the radio that Jigme Drukpa heard him the first time when he was about 7 to 8 years. Wanted to learn the Dromyon from Abdope, Jigme Drukpa left his school and traveled to Thimphu from Womrong in search of him.
Over 5 weeks, I found him in Thimphu, and since then, till now, it's been about 38 years since I did follow him, and I used my time learning all his songs, most of his songs. So I think when I reflect on our lives together, and especially his life, I think he's made a tremendous contribution to Bhutanese cultural life and musical life in particular.
As much as the loss is immense, there is but the consolation that he will continue to live through his works. For Sonam Kilitem, BBS News.
The reconstruction of the iconic Wangdefoda Zhong is close to completion. Built in the 17th century by Jabdungao Namgyal, the historic fortress withstood a couple of natural disasters before it was completely destroyed by a major fire accident in June 2012. Since then, offices and events of the Zhong were relocated to other places. One such event is the annual Sechu. However, with the Zhong slowly rising to its former glory, this will be the last Sechu away from the Zhong.
The annual Sichu away from the historic Zhong did not stop these devotees from coming to witness the sacred mask dances. This year, the Sichu is at Bajo High Secondary School's football ground. While there were several tents for the public, it was not enough. Most of them found themselves exposed to the scorching heat, followed by strong wind in the afternoon and light rainfall in the evening to wrap the weather up. They have braved this for too long. By this time next year, they can witness the sacred dances inside the Zhong.
The construction of the new Zhong is complete now. However, we could not conduct our annual Sechu in the new Zhong this year, since the Zhong is not yet consecrated. So this Sechu will be the last event to conduct in an open place. From next year, we can conduct the annual Sechu in the new sacred Zhong.
People who have been witnessing the annual Sechu every year welcomed the news. Except for the last 2 years when the Sechu was closed to the public due to the pandemic, these devotees have been visiting the open grounds to witness the annual Sechu.
We are excited to witness the annual Sichu inside the Zhong. We thought we will not be able to witness the Sichu inside the Zhong after its destruction by fire. But we are very happy as the construction of new Zhong has been completed during our time itself.
It is quite difficult due to the heat to watch the event in an open place. Especially, it is challenging for elderly people. It would be better and more convenient if the event is conducted inside the Zhong. We can have shades and also go around and receive blessings from the relics of the Zhong.
Elderly people are suffering a lot while witnessing the Sichu in open places. We are extremely happy that we will be able to conduct the Sichu inside the Zhong by next year. It would definitely help the elderly people.
Considering the growing population and number of people turning up to the festival, some people are worried about how the new courtyard can accommodate the spectators.
There is limited space inside the Zhong. The population has drastically increased just in front of our eyes. So I feel it would be difficult to accommodate even half of the spectators inside the Zhong.
The Zhong has a very congested place, and if the number of people is like today, I am worried that there will be a high risk of causing suffocation to elderly people and children inside the Zhong.
Dispelling these concerns, the Zongdas says the new courtyard of the Zhong is spacious for the public. He says even the office corridors can be used for spectators if the need at all arises.
The number of people coming to witness the event are on an average 3,000 to 4,000 while performing outside today. So this number of people can be easily accommodated inside the Zhong.
Sichu is a homage to Guru Rinpoche, who was responsible for the spread of Buddhism in Bhutan. There is no better place other than Zhong or monasteries to conduct such a sacred festival. And this courtyard will again host the most sacred festival to the joys of the people. For Changadoji in Wandifada, Pupkim PBS News.
That's all for this week. Thank you for joining us.